All right. So, thank you all for being here today. It's so beautiful to share this space, this moment with you all. It's weird to be looking at a computer, but it's beautiful to know that there are people here and there will be people that watch this later. So let's start today with just taking a few moments to become present in this moment. So let's become comfortable and close our eyes. Taking a deep breath in. Exhaling out through the mouth. Another deep breath in and out. And one more. Allowing ourselves to really sink in to this moment. And becoming available. Opening ourselves to receive whatever we need to receive at this moment in our lives. And we offer all of the fruits that come from this time together to a greater wisdom beyond ourselves. May this exploration and sharing of Karma Yoga be for the benefit of all existence. And if we feel, we can bring our hands in front of our hearts in a gesture of Namaste. The light in me recognizes and bows to the light in you. Thank you all for being here and for sharing the space today. So today we will be talking about Karma Yoga. I'm outside. There is currently a plane passing over. I hope that it's still okay. So for some of us that are here listening to this talk, we might have already heard quite a bit about Karma Yoga. And for some of us that are listening, we might not have ever heard about Karma Yoga before. So I'm going to give a brief introduction and overview of what it is for those that haven't heard of it before. But then for the majority of the talk, we'll be kind of talking about some things that I think all of us might find interesting and new kind of invitations for how we can practice or deepen or feel inspired or brought into Karma Yoga. So to start, what is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is both a path, a beautiful spiritual path, and it is also a practice. And ultimately, the practice of Karma Yoga becomes a path. It can become the path of Karma Yoga. But for some of us, we might not feel called to the path yet. And so Karma Yoga can also be a practice that we can explore, and an extremely, extremely beautiful one. So to start, I'll talk about the path of Karma Yoga. So yoga, I think, is often misunderstood or not experienced to its entirety. It's like full beauty right now, and how it's shared a lot of the time these days in modern yoga studios. When yoga was created, which I think was about 2,000 or 3,000 years before Christ, it's coming from this longing for union with the beloved, union with pure consciousness, with pure love, with God. And there were these different paths created, yogic paths. And the genius of them is that they resonate with different ways of like inclinations that we have in ourselves. So for instance, I'm going to give a little tiny, just a few words about the 4 paths of yoga. And you can feel how one or the other might feel more interesting or intriguing to you. One of these is jnana yoga, the path of discernment or the path of knowledge. So this would be really trying to get to the core of reality, discerning what is true for what is not true. Another of these is bhakti yoga, the path of love, the path of devotion. So this is this, and this is very much what makes me feel really alive, so it makes me excited even to talk about, but it is this this natural instinct to bow, to celebrate what is beyond us. Another of these is Raja Yoga, the royal path. And so the yogic path gives these 8 limbs of yoga, this really beautiful structure for how to come into union. And Raja Yoga really uses these 8 limbs. And the last is Karma Yoga, which is what we're going to be talking about today, which is this yoga union, bringing this union into karma action. And this is relying on this practice of karma yoga, which is really using everything that we do, everything that comes through us, all that we're doing in this life, to be done with more awareness, more offering, more detachment. I'm very nervous, and it's really funny. It's a strange experience to be talking to my computer, so I feel like my thoughts are not coming out very smoothly, but hopefully it is okay. So let's talk more about this practice of karma yoga, what that would entail. I think the most simple way that I've heard it broken down is by, hi Orly, is by broken down by a beloved teacher of mine named Cloud. And so he speaks about how there are 3 main tenets of karma yoga. And they are awareness, so becoming fully aware of what we are doing. It is detachment, so detaching ourselves from the outcome of anything, of what comes from this. And offering, so allowing everything that comes through us to be for something beyond us, something that we can't even see, perhaps. Yes, so these three things are really, really important. And so why do we do this? Why might we choose to explore karma yoga in this way? And I think that as we begin to practice it, we each kind of find our why. How does it feel for us? And then from that, we feel some kind of inspiration to keep doing it. As we understand the significance of something, we might choose to integrate it more in our lives because we feel it. We know what it's doing for us. And from having lived in a community that's really focused on karma yoga, I think that a very common experience of karma yoga is that it keeps us close to truth. It keeps us close to love. It keeps us humbled. It keeps us of service. It's an extremely inspiring and powerful practice. And it ultimately transforms our life. So, yeah, there's a huge why to do it. And I encourage you, if you're tuning in, or if you watch this later, if it's something that intrigues you, I encourage you to explore what it would feel like to incorporate karma yoga into your life. And we'll be talking more about what that could look like. So now I'll transition a little bit to share about how karma yoga looks for me in my life and what my journey with it has been. This beautiful idea of one consciousness, infinite perspectives really is so cool because all of us have different paths and different resonances, and so to hear different experiences can be extremely inspiring. So yes, that's kind of my intention in sharing a little bit more about this with you guys. So for me, prior to arriving to the Hridaya Yoga community in Mexico in 2016, spirituality was not really a part of my life, at least not consciously. And upon arriving there, without really knowing what it was, I was a karma yogi. Hridaya, this community, is really explores karma yoga in a really beautiful way. And so if you are there volunteering with them, you are in what is called the karma yoga program. So you are serving the community in some way, whether that is cleaning different spaces around, cooking, working in marketing, something like this. But you are not just doing this as a typical work exchange. This service is also an invitation for a deeper exploration for you to explore what karma yoga is. And there is lots of support and encouragement given for you during this. So bringing this awareness and detachment and offering into what you are doing. And what we find is that it's not typically a very natural or easy practice. Even something as simple as cleaning a bathroom or sweeping a hall or preparing a meal. It's pretty hard to be in a place where we are really detached. So like when I started, I was cleaning. And at that time, Hridaya was smaller, and so it was just one person cleaning, and I was that person. And it was hard to not want to be recognized for leaving the place more clean. And once I started serving in the kitchen, it's hard to not want to be praised for how the food tastes. It's very normal to be attached to an outcome and to be attached to being seen in some way. And it's also very normal to not be in awareness of something. We're so used to being in our minds and just acting from patterns we don't actually really feel. We're not actually really present for what we're doing a lot of the time. So this program is really special because it's a training. It gives you time to reflect on this and encouragement in continuing to go with it. So yeah, that's how I started there. And I would say that gradually with time, there's a deepening of the significance of the practice. And as you understand more of the significance, there's more reverence and appreciation for it, which ultimately means that the willingness and longing to practice comes from a very natural place in you because you understand what it is. And I would say that that continues to develop. So I definitely don't claim to have understood its full significance. But I know that from when it was introduced to me in 2016 to where it is now in 2020, 4 years. Yeah, wow, almost 4 years later since I first arrived, like 4 years and a couple weeks. The significance of Karma Yoga has definitely evolved and is now a huge foundation in my life. So I really encourage the exploration of it. So at some point in my journey of Hridaya, my service there became oriented to serving the local community. I really felt, for some reason, my heart just really started caring about that. And it became this several-year-long project of developing these relationships and these programs that really served the local community in a collaborative and really, really special and beautiful way. It's by far like the most incredible experience that I've ever had. And I would say that during this time, the experience of Karma Yoga became both easier and harder. It became easier because I was so aligned with the call of the heart. There was such a flow of enthusiasm and love and care. It was just like this abundant spring. But at the same time, there was also more attachment. I wanted the outcome to be big. I wanted this to keep growing. I wanted to expand to more schools, to more communities. And I also wanted to be seen in a certain way. I wanted to be seen as good, as trustworthy by the local people, and good and praised by people at Hridaya and from friends at home. And so that's the two sides of doing something that we really care about and really believe is important, is that there does come this more abundance, but that the ego can be more involved. I imagine that a lot of you guys might resonate with that. And so this is when we can rely on Karma Yoga more as well, of coming back to this intention for these actions, for this service, to not be at all for us or for any certain kind of outcome. To just be doing this as a vessel for love, for the joy of serving, for the joy of being aligned with the heart. And it's hard, but it can happen by grace, and it is so, so, so beautiful. I know that for me now, being back in the States and now doing my master's and being away from the community, something that really keeps me going is this taking the time to reflect on my priorities and checking in to see if I'm aligned with my heart. And when there is that alignment, it's like this this consistent spring of nourishment that can happen, but it requires us to check in with ourselves. Yeah. So now for the rest of our time together, I really want to dive into talking about love and humility. And I do this because I think that for all of us, we begin to find our own recipes. Like, what are the ingredients that allow us to open in this pretty deep way? And for me, love and humility are by far like these really incredible foundations. And I think that they are for many people as well. So I just want to take a little bit of time to explore them. So yes, love. So I want us all to reflect a little bit about what it feels like when we do something for or with love. So this might be an experience of maybe doing something nice or creating a gift for a loved one, for a partner, for a family member. It could be learning more about being an anti-racist. It could be sharing the teachings. It could be meditating. What does it feel like when we have this love and passion in us? So maybe we find when we think of those moments in our lives when that happens, maybe we find that there is a sense of flow, a sense of like lightness, of enthusiasm. Yeah, things were just happening. It's like we're not even really there. And it's so beautiful. There's just this like abundance of creation. We're just along with it, allowing it to come through us. And there's this quote that Mother Theresa is, there's hardly words to put to her, but she really does embody karma yoga in such an incredible, selfless way. And so I'm bringing in a few quotes of hers that I find really, really inspiring and really fitting for this. And the first one of these is, I have found the paradox. If you love until it hurts, there can be no more hurt, only more love. I feel that this really just speaks to the limitlessness of love. It's so beautiful. So when we move with this love on the forefront, like maybe it's thinking about making our family, so using these same examples, maybe it's thinking about celebrating or how our partner would react, or our family member if we do something nice for them. Or maybe it's thinking about the result of being living more mindfully as an anti-racist, or sharing the teachings, or whatever. We become so surrendered and aligned with the heart. It's so beautiful. I want to read something that so I think there can kind of be different stages of love, and this is a really, really strong and beautiful quote by Thomas Merton, who is a Christian mystic. It really encapsulates what love can be in its purity and in its fullness. It says, the next step is not a step. You are not transported from one degree to another. What happens is that the separate entity that is you apparently disappears, and nothing seems to be left from a pure freedom, indistinguishable from infinite freedom. Love identified with love, not two loves, one waiting for the other, striving for the other, seeking for the other, but love, loving in freedom. I think that is so beautiful. So that is what love can feel like. And when we're connected with this love in ourselves, karma yoga feels more accessible because there is this natural sense of selflessness and joy in this offering. So it's likely for most of us, I know for myself, that we are not in a continuous state of this love. When we're washing dishes or driving or putting together a meal at the end of the day, when we're tired, we're sometimes not as in that love. It's not as accessible. And so what are some ways that we can come more into that love? And so I've come up with some, I'm going to share some things that I find work really well for me. First is to really slow down. When we are caught up in the mind and the thoughts and planning, it's harder to be available to that love. So when we slow down, we can make ourselves more available to that love that is always there. There's never a moment when love is not there. If we allow ourselves to slow down, we can be reminded of that more easily. Whether it's like taking a look outside in nature, experiencing the love of the song of a bird, or of how the light looks through the leaves in the trees, or someone smiling at us, or something like this. It's like we slow down and something reminds us, something opens our heart again. We can also remind ourselves, connect with our why. And usually we can find that there is a deeper love in whatever we're doing, even in just washing the dishes or in just driving somewhere. There's something deeper there. We're washing the dishes. If we live alone, we're washing the dishes to take care of ourselves, to make our life more easy. If we're washing dishes for someone else, taking care. If we're driving somewhere, it's for something. There is a bigger purpose. There is a bigger mission of love involved. So opening ourselves to remember our why, again, helps a lot. And there is this quote, again, by Mother Theresa, that I also find really inspiring around this, which is, wherever God has put you, that is your vocation. It is not about how much you do, but about how much love you put into what you do that counts. So again, if we need an inspiration for love, this can be one of them. Kind of realizing that this is a way that we want to live, being inspired to put more and more love into what we do. And humility also creates space for more love. And for our last 10 minutes together, or less, 5-10 minutes together, I'm going to be speaking about humility, which I think goes hand in hand with love. So to start speaking about humility, I want to read 2 quotes about it. I think that humility is often thought of to be just about the absence of pride. And that is definitely a part of it, but I think that there is more to it, and that these quotes invite us to experience what that is. So I invite you guys to close your eyes, and these are just brief quotes, but I invite you to really try to feel what they are saying. We seldom understand that accepting things as they are is the pinnacle of humility. Ramana Maharshi. And true humility consists of being satisfied with what is given us. Saint Teresa of Avila. So these are both incredible spiritual teachers and masters of vastly different traditions, but ultimately that have tapped into the same union, the same realization. And what they share about humility, I find really simple, but really like a rare experience for us. No? How rare is it that we really, really accept things as we are and are really satisfied with what is. So when we allow that to sink in, how does that feel? For me, it feels like there's like an inner calm, an inner quiet. There's a deep sense of gratitude, acceptance. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to just be, humbled enough to let it all just be. So what I notice when I experiment with humility is that it creates space for awareness in a really natural, sincere way. Sometimes when we try to become aware or become present, it's like we're trying to force it. But if we use this humility that we were just speaking about, really, really, really accepting things exactly as they are, then there is the sincere sense of awareness, of presence. And so I want us to do a little experiment to really feel this for ourselves. So I ask us to close our eyes again and to allow ourselves to really become humbled by life. To notice everything that has taken care of us. To allow ourselves to really feel like this majesty of existence. How crazy is it that we are sitting on something soft, able to be so comfortable as we are, that the light around us exists. Like there are so many things that we can be noticing and humbled by. And then from this place, we can slowly open our eyes and begin to look around us. Really taking in we can become humble enough to experience the beauty of existence so clearly. And what I find with this is that often what can come is this natural sense of willingness to participate somehow, to collaborate, to be used of service, which is, yeah, it's also kind of a connotation when we think about humility. It's like we have to become humble enough to see what is greater than us. And then from there, it's like we're naturally humbled enough to be a vessel for that, to be moved by love. And for me, I think that statement, when I think of karma yoga, the willingness to be moved by love, this natural state of surrender, that really encapsulates karma yoga more than anything else to me. So again and again, coming back to this humility, allowing ourselves to be moved. And so we can take this as a practice that evolves. So we can allow ourselves to, like something that I like to do sometimes when I'm slowing down and kind of coming into a place where I'm allowing myself to be led, is it's like I can feel that I'm not the one that's breathing my lungs, like my lungs are being moved by love. And then I can like start moving my fingers, like rubbing myself or tapping myself, and feeling that it is love that is moving all of this. And so an invitation for how we can begin to practice karma yoga is in these slow ways. Slowing down, becoming humble, available for love, and beginning to move in this way. Doing yoga in this way, sweeping the floor in this way, washing the dishes in this way, listening to someone in this way. It's a beautiful way to allow this to keep evolving. Yeah. And last quote from Mother Theresa is, "Only humility will lead us to unity, and unity will lead us to peace." So I finished sharing the main things that I wanted to share. So in summary, karma yoga is both a beautiful path and a beautiful practice that we can explore. As a practice, it involves bringing more awareness into what we do, which I would encourage you to explore this bridge of humility and awareness. And it involves detachment. So really becoming aware of how we might be latching on to a certain outcome or a certain kind of association with something. Really, really letting that action just be. And similarly to this, offering that to something that is beyond you. Yeah, and then as we begin to practice this, we kind of create our own personal recipes. So for me, love and humility really kind of create this natural sense of flow. And I didn't realize that at first. That's been like a years in the process kind of thing. But when Sabina and Adam asked me to give this talk, I began to reflect on it, and definitely love and humility allow karma yoga to be a more natural process in my life. Yes. So that's really all that I want to share. Now we can have a few minutes of just space for questions, if anyone has a question that they would like to put in the comments. And yeah, if not, then I have a few more beautiful things that I can read. A poem and another quote. And then we can end for today. I think I'll go ahead and start reading. Okay, I'm going to read from Jeff Foster first. Jeff Foster is a modern non-dual teacher. I'm reading from The Way of Rest. What is presence? It's nice we have the birds singing with us. What is presence? Presence is the felt sense of being alive, of existing, here and now. The living field of I am that has never come or gone, of which even I am is already a translation by mind. Thoughts, sensations, feelings, sounds, smells, all kinds of states and experiences, both mundane and profound, have all come and gone in your life. But your presence has never come or gone, appeared or disappeared. The silent, unchanging backdrop to all experience, the vast ocean of you, constant and steady amidst all the arising and dissolving of the waves of the manifest world, you in the intimate sense of the word, that which you have always sought, that which has been present throughout all your seeking and suffering and longing for union, your true home, your most profound sense of rest, your beloved. It was always you. And lastly, I'll read a beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran. And if you're not already closing your eyes, you might as well if you want. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires. To melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night. To know the pain of too much tenderness. To be wounded by your own understanding of love. And to bleed willingly and joyfully. To wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. To rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy. To return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise upon your lips. So I think that this is where we will end. Oh. Okay, we have a question. Do you have any tips for those of us who are doing social justice work and it hurts our hearts to see so much, see little/no change? How do we stay detached in these moments? Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. And definitely something that's really relevant right now. I think that it all comes to trust. It's seeing, like expanding out somehow to see and trusting that even though we don't understand it, we really can't understand it. We can't understand why there is suffering. But somehow zooming out to trust that there is a greater mission in it somehow. There could be karma involved or something like this. It's really a hard thing to do. Yeah. And I think it's just like, again, becoming This detachment comes from if we're wanting change, then we're not fully detached. So it's allowing ourselves to just accept what is, that full sense of humility, which is really hard, but trying to do this. That's what I would say. Okay, so I think this is how we will end for today. I know that there are some of you that wanted to see my cat, Nomi, who some of you knew when he was a baby, and I have him. So let me go get him. This is Nomi. Oh man, what a time this has been. It's really an odd experience to talk to your computer, but we made it through. And thank you all so much for being here and listening, and for taking the time to become available to these, to karma yoga, and to be with me in this. Okay, I'm gonna end it now, but thank you all so much. So much love to all of you. I'm so grateful. Have a good one.